Before child welfare organizations began in the late 1800s, when parents could not care for their children, they would often leave them with anyone willing to take them. Usually, these setups weren't ideal for the child, as it made them vulnerable to exploitation and abuse. Despite miserable conditions, the children survived by clinging to memories and the hope that someday someone would rescue them. The Sparrows Fall by Leota Hulse Black.
Annabelle, ain't you got that lettuce bed weeded yet? You've been loitering around out there for a full hour. Get in here and set the table for supper.
Yes, Miss Phelps, I'm coming. And Annabelle ran breathlessly to the back door. She was not more than 9 years of age, but the careworn expression on the thin, drawn face might have belonged to a little old woman of 60. She winced, as though she had been struck, as the harsh voice boomed on.
I am getting sick and tired of your shiftless ways. Here I've been bedding and boarding for you for 5 long years, and where is it getting me? Your pa promised to come for you in 2 years after your mom died, but these Navy men ain't to be depended on. Like as not, he's forgot all about having you, and I'll have you on my hands the rest of my days. Not a very inviting prospect, I'm telling you.
But Daddy gave you money to take care of me, didn't he?
Precious little. Not enough to pay for your board, and you eating more every day. And getting lazier, too. But what can you expect from the daughter of a Navy man?
Annabelle's blue eyes blazed.
Stop, Miss Phelps! You can say horrid things about me, but I won't let you talk about my daddy.
Annabelle was rewarded by a slap on her sensitive little mouth.
None of your sass, young lady. That's the thanks I get for putting up with you for 5 solid years. Just for that, you'll go to bed without your supper. Sticking up for your dad. Well, he thinks so little of you that he hasn't written to you in 2 years. Now stop that sniveling and take this quarter and get me a cake for supper. And mind that you bring back the change.
It was several blocks to the bake shop, and Annabelle fairly flew, fearful of the consequences should she have been gone longer than Mrs. Phelps thought necessary. Having purchased the cake, she started home. Twilight was falling over the village, and Annabelle looked with longing at the lighted windows, where happy boys and girls gathered at the firesides. She paused at the top of a hill to take a breath, leaning against a stone wall. She was faint from hunger, and the smell of the fresh cake tantalized her beyond endurance.
Oh, if I could have a teeny weeny little piece, even just one bite. It smells delicious. I could eat it all, I believe, and there won't be any supper for me when I get home. I have a notion to eat every bit of it. I'm so hungry, I don't care what she does to me.
She started to open the parcel, but the last beating Mrs. Phelps had given her was still a vivid memory.
Oh no, I mustn't. She'd have killed me. I guess I better hold the cake behind me so I don't smell it and run home before I'm tempted too much.
When she arrived, Mrs. Phelps snatched the cake and pointed meaningly towards the stairs. Annabelle dragged herself wearily to her tiny room under the eaves. Kneeling by the casement window, she laid her face on the sill in the moonlight. Then the dream pictures came to her, as they did every night. She could see a little white cottage, covered with vines and roses. The air was sweet with the smell of flowers and new-mown grass. A tiny girl played about the lawn. A beautiful woman on the porch called, "Bedtime, Annabelle! Come to Mother!" Then a man in a blue uniform picked her up laughingly and carried her to her mother's outstretched arms. By and by, she was in a little white nightgown, nestling against a soft shoulder. The second picture always brought a sharp stab of pain. This time, the man in blue stood by an open grave. His tears mingled with the falling snow, and he held the little girl in his trembling arms. The third dream picture was the one that Annabelle clung to for comfort through the hard days. The man in blue kissing her goodbye as he whispered, "Goodbye, dear. Be a good girl, and someday Daddy's ship will come back, and we'll be together again." Tears of loneliness filled her eyes and splashed on the windowsill. Far below, a dog contentedly crunched on a bone. Creeping to her cot, she raised her thin little face in a heartbroken whisper. "Mama, Mama, where are you? Do you know how lonely and hungry I am? Even the dog has more than I have. Oh, why doesn't my daddy come?" But only the night sounds from the street answered her. "Oh, I guess the heaven is so far away that she can't hear me. I wish I could die too." Nearby, across the street, a mother sang a lullaby to her babe. "Even the tiny sparrow knows his loving care. Go to sleep, my baby, God is everywhere." With the words, a faint memory came to Annabelle, a verse that she had heard upon one of the rare occasions she had been allowed to attend Sunday school. Let me think. It was about the sparrow. "And God knoweth if it falls, and he loves us more than many sparrows. Maybe if I pray, he'll hear me. Oh God, thou who takes care of the flowers and the sparrows, won't you please hear the little prayer I make? I'm not a flower or a bird. I'm just a plain little girl with no one to care for me. I have a daddy somewhere who loves me, and I know he does. And please, dear God, won't you find him and bring him back to me? And don't wait too long, 'cause I can't stand it much longer. Amen." Early the next morning, Annabelle awoke with a start. A gnawing pain, the pangs of hunger tore at her little body. She must have food. Her bare feet made no sound as she stole down the stairs. She groped in the semi-darkness of the kitchen until she found a bottle of milk, which she raised to her lips. Sensing a presence, she turned and beheld Mrs. Phelps' huge bulk in the doorway. In her hand, she held a tough switch. Oh, Miss Phelps, what are you going to do? I haven't done anything. Truly, I haven't." But the merciless switch fell again and again on her bare little shoulders. "What for? Oh, what for? Oh, Miss Phelps, please tell me what for, and I'll never, ever do it again." The child's screams drowned the peal of the doorbell. Suddenly, the door burst open, and a man in a blue uniform gathered the sobbing child into his arms. "My darling, my poor little daughter, God forgive me for leaving you." But Annabelle was content to know that he who marks the sparrow's fall had been watching over her.